Welcome to Hyperfixation Investigations, the podcast where two neurospicy best friends take time each Saturday to info-dump their research deep dive of the week.
Lovingly produced and copyrighted by Wolf and Stag Productions.
Today's fun fact is 88 constellations are officially recognized by the International Astronomical Union, 48 of which were documented by the Greek astronomer Ptolemy in his book Almagest, around 150 CE.
Good evening, I'm Kara, and I will be presenting this week's episode, Zodiac Astrology, How Copernicus Screwed Up the Zodiac, part 1 of our mini-series, Dip into the Zodiacs.
Good morning, I'm Josh, and I'm just along for the ride. For those of you joining us for the first time, here's how things work. Kara will be leading us through a mini lecture on this topic, and we'll discuss it throughout the episode.
Expect tangents throughout. We switch off duties each week, so next week, expect Josh to helm the episode.
Now on to our regularly scheduled program. Kara, what have you been hyperfixating on this week?
Josh, today we're going to explore the history and significance of astrology, and specifically within that, Western Zodiac Astrology. We will have later episodes on each of the 12 zodiac signs, but today we're getting our foundational information up to date.
Cool, because this is basically a language I don't speak.
Yes.
Though we have talked about it here and there in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember a lot of it.
So, the definition of astrology from the Cambridge Dictionary is the study of the movements and positions of the sun, moon, planets, and stars in the belief that they affect the character and lives of people. So, I'm one of those people that gets the words astrology and astronomy mixed up all the time.
Which is so funny to me.
Despite the fact that I am well aware of the differences between the two.
Of course.
I still haven't figured out a nice little way to remember the difference when I'm speaking quickly. Like when I can stop and think about it, I know the answer. But when I'm just like talking, I usually mix them up in the middle of conversation. But it's fine. So we're going to start off with ancient astrology and kind of where this Western zodiac astrology comes from. And I'll probably refer to it either as zodiac astrology, Western astrology, or just the zodiac. From here on out, there are other forms of astrology, which I'll briefly touch on, which requires there to be this distinction of what we're calling it. It's not just astrology as a overarching term, so to speak. Astrology originated in ancient Mesopotamia in the 3rd millennium BC. There are a set of cuneiform tablets, about 70 of them, that contain nearly 7,000 celestial omens and symbols, which would have been recorded and interpreted by Babylonian priests, specifically usually for monarchs and decision makers of the time. The Babylonians had 12 astrological signs, and some of those are now included in the Western zodiac, but the Greek actually named the signs that you and I would know and linked them to the dates based on their alignment with the sun's orbit. And that's important because we'll get into that later.
Cool.
So for a quick overview, those 12 are Aries, which is considered the first zodiac.
Sure.
Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpius, now known as Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricornus, now known as Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And the word zodiac itself originates from the Greek zodiacus, Kyklos, or the circle of animals.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So the Greeks' focus on astrology after, Mesopotamia was less on the zodiacs and more on connecting with the gods through divination and the stars. But they did have this important aspect of naming and dating the zodiacs from the Babylonian times. So just a very quick overview, which we'll get into in a little bit slightly more detail, is that overarchingly, astrology originated in Mesopotamia. It spread to India and developed its Western form in Greece during the Hellenistic period. Then it entered Islamic culture as part of Greek traditions and returned to European culture through Arabic learning during the Middle Ages. And a lot of this cultural movement was from different Silk Roads and trade routes of the time. So the blend of Babylonian and Greek astrologies led to the idea of personal horoscopes in modern times. So astrology in ancient times was much more kind of broad. It was about major events. It was about how to make decisions. It wasn't you're a Capricorn, and so you're very grounded and practical, and this is what your Sunday the 4th is going to look like, or whatever.
Sure. It was more along the lines of, oh, looks like there's a drought coming up, like that kind of
Correct,
thing,
yeah.
like for like royal advisors.
Mhm.
Okay.
So Claudius Ptolemy, who was an astrologer and an astronomer, wrote the foundation of Western astrology in the Tetrabiblos, with the ideas of personal horoscopes and, quote, the idea that people can read and interpret the stars to learn about their own lives. Now, Ptolemy ends up being an important aspect of an theologian when it comes to astrology, and we'll kind of get into it a little bit later about why Ptolemy as an astronomer was very important on astrology.
Okay.
So the actual science of the stars, not the more spiritual interpretation of them.
Right.
So other forms of astrology that we had mentioned kind of briefly that came up throughout Silk Roads, the traveling of ideas, and just became their own thing from cultures independently were Vedic astrology of India, which incorporates Hindu practices, and what a lot of us know as Chinese astrology, which had a Taoist philosophy and also included animals. So think of the year of the rat, the year of the monkey.
Right.
That's along the lines of Chinese astrology. So moving into the Middle Ages, astrology was common and influential, not just in big decisions, but in everyday decision making. It helped with modern medicine, it helped with astronomy and other sciences, and it played a crucial role in the development of alchemy, which was the precursor to modern-day chemistry.
Yes, of course. Classic.
Yes. And the idea that celestial bodies, constellations, things like that were connected to certain elements, all of that.
Right.
Again, around this time in the Middle Ages, astrologers were often found in royal courts, and they would provide horoscopes to monarchs. And one famous case was Charles V of France, who commissioned the translation of a lot of astrological texts, which have now been studied. The 15th century witch trials in England, surprise, surprise, were not big fans of astrology. It was connected to sorcery and paganism, even though astrology is found in many pagan religions.
Sure.
It is not inherently pagan.
Sure.
In terms of it really was developing as a science before we knew it wasn't a science,
Fair.
if that makes sense.
Yes. Part of the purpose behind it was trying to divine meaning from the motion of what we could see in the sky.
Exactly.
But not necessarily, neither for necessarily purely witchcraft purposes, nor for purely mathematical understandings either at the beginning, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So it kind of died during the 15th century, and then it became popular again during the Renaissance. Many of the astrological charts and calendars that we might know today were created or inspired during this time. And these charts and calendars removed a lot of the language and educational barriers to astrology and to horoscope analysis and interpretation in general. One of the really cool examples, and I'll have a picture of this on our website, was astrologist Leonard Thurnesser published a pop-up book in 1575.
A pop-up book in 1575?
Yes. It's
That's
so
really cool.
looking. Yes, it's called the Astrolabium, and it could create individual horoscopes with the spinning wheel charts on the pop-up sections of the book.
Nice.
It's so cool. Astrology faded once again with the scientific revolution and the Age of Enlightenment. Its faded popularity in that time period, we still see the effects of that today. And astrology and horoscopes were rarely seen until the resurgence in the early 20th century and the advent of the horoscope newspaper column. So when we talk about the scientific revolution and the Age of Enlightenment, this is where it's important to talk about Ptolemy and Copernicus and how these two scientists affected the zodiac.
Yes.
For those of you who don't remember high school astronomy, which I don't blame you, even though I find it interesting, I still don't remember a lot of it.
That's fair. A lot of people don't.
Right. Ptolemy was an astronomer who kind of championed the idea that the solar system and all of the celestial bodies we could see, stars, the sun, other planets, rotated around the Earth and that the Earth stood still. So that was called a geocentric theory.
Right. A little after like 100 CE.
Yeah, about 150 CE, I think.
Second century.
This idea that the solar system and the heavenly bodies were geocentric, The Earth stood still and was at the center of everything. Makes sense when you think about what everything looks like in the night sky. We can't tell our planet is moving from us standing on it.
Right. When you're just looking up at the night sky, everything looks like
It's rotating around us.
Right.
So with this idea in mind, that's when the zodiacs were kind of created in what we think of them today. So the 12 houses, but specifically this idea that the 12 signs that we had mentioned earlier, Aries, Capricorn, Gemini, lined up with constellations in the night sky. That these constellations each took up like a 30-degree pie shape in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were aligned with the sun, that was when they were the ruling sign. That works when the Earth stands still. We'll get into this more, but that doesn't work once you realize that the Earth is not the center of everything and we actually are moving. We're rotating, we're on an axis, we're in orbit of the sun. And that all came about because of Copernicus.
So my guy.
Copernicus ruined the zodiac, and we'll get into it more later. But this switch over from geocentric to heliocentric thinking was happening. So again, heliocentric being Copernicus's theory that we orbit the sun.
Right.
And is part of why when a lot of people say, your zodiac's not actually right, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't know necessarily that that's what they're talking about, but that's what they're talking about. So along with this horoscope newspaper column, you see the rise in what are called natal star charts. These natal star charts use the date, specific time, and birth location by like latitude and longitude to create a snapshot of the sky from the moment you were born. And this chart and the analysis and interpretation of it provides insight into your personal traits, personality, maybe your path in life, how you should make decisions, etc., etc. The 1980s also found many newspapers establishing phone lines for people to call in and get personalized astrology readings. And this was a really great quote, I think, from an article by Catherine Caruso in the National Geographic. Quote, beyond its astronomical origins, astrology, according to experts, can foster a sense of community and bring social cohesion. Carl Jung, a renowned psychologist who explored astrology's archetypal symbols and their impact on the human psyche, suggested that astrology provides a language for understanding universal patterns of human experience, unquote. So that kind of brings us up to the modern day of astrology.
Right.
We're going to get into more specifics of the modern astrology in a little bit, but I just want to touch a little bit more on this idea of the Silk Roads and ancient astrology.
Sure.
Because it's really cool. And you know it's cool when UNESCO writes articles about it.
Hey, we do love UNESCO.
Yes. Trade routes did not just trade materials, they traded ideas, languages.
Well, because as you interact with any culture for any reason, you're going to end up trading stories and ideas and beliefs and faiths.
Yes.
That's going to inevitably happen with trading materials.
Yep. And these Silk Roads and these trading of ideas and knowledge, it plays a crucial role in the development of the sciences. And at the time that the Silk Roads were predominantly in use, science included the idea of alchemy and astrology, which again, alchemy ends up being the precursor for chemistry.
Right.
And astrology, while it has remained kind of on a originally parallel and now divergent path from astronomy, was a really, really important part of developing astronomy as a science. Because with it, this idea of measuring celestial bodies using math and science, tracking them, cartography, mapping them in the sky, all these kinds of things led to inventions of things like the astrolabe. And its increasing use and continued use for many, many centuries, where the math was getting better and the tools were getting better, meant that the math and tools for astronomy were also getting better.
Right.
And nowadays, it's actually become somewhat of a give and take relationship where, you know, ancient astrology really helped form the foundation of current astronomy. And current astronomy is helping modern day astrologers do their astrology better because the mathematics involved in astronomy are used still in astrology. So it's this weird like give and take relationship now between the two. Even though astrology is not a science. I am not saying it's a science. So nobody come at me.
Right. It is a faith-based system that a lot of people...
I would even call it an interesting form of, and like as a tool to analyze psychology and sociology.
Right.
Not as a study of science itself.
Right. As a tool of self-reflection,
right.
I think things like this are phenomenal because you're taking time to analyze things about yourself and think about why are you the way that you are and what has led you in your life to be certain ways, which that kind of self-reflection and meta-analysis of your own behaviors and beliefs is always important. The fact that it used to be a respected like scientific field, I think does often get overlooked because it is nowadays
and that
self-reflective
it did
pseudoscience
actually use
kind of...
like math and logic.
Right.
It wasn't just somebody pointed up at the sky and went, that constellation means you're a dick. But to your point, there's a famous polymath, Al-Biruni, who was one of the first scholars to really make the distinction between astrology and astronomy in the 10th or 11th century CE.
Sure.
He said, astrology is an art or a practice. Astronomy is a science.
Right.
One of the really big things back in ancient Mesopotamia, the Babylonians and astrological calendars was very important discoveries in geometry.
Yes.
And you think about the Inca have their own astrological and astronomical studies. And those also were hugely important and very mathematically and scientifically accurate for their times.
And also, I will say, as a reminder to a lot of people who may not remember this, the Inca are actually much more modern
than people think
they are. People think of the Inca as being like Babylonian in terms of age. No. And we're still talking about hundreds of years ago. It's just not thousands of years ago. It's hundreds.
Yep.
Anywho, go on.
So that's kind of our overview of ancient astrology, how it came up to today, you know, its mathematical foundations, its cultural foundations.
Hey, this is Josh and Kara from the editing room, just cutting in real quick to let you know about a teeny tiny change to this episode and the next episode.
What was supposed to happen here is a brief overview of astrological birth charts.
And then that conversation ballooned into about half an hour, which would have probably pushed this episode beyond our ideal time limit and thus beyond our ideal file maximum size.
But we do still want to give you that conversation and the information I covered during that half an hour. So stay tuned next week for an extension to this episode that is just the birth chart conversation. Let's call it episode 9.5. This does mean that there may be one or two references to this conversation later on in this current episode, but you've taken most of those out to prevent confusion, right?
Yeah, most of them. Back to the episode, we're going to go straight into an early intermission. I know it's a bit early for us, but this is the closest thing we have to an actually good break in the yapping to put in an intermission, because we completely forgot to take a break of any kind while recording.
Who, us? Intermission is upon us, folks. Feel free to pause and grab yourselves some water and a little treat, whatever that looks like for you. And now, a message from my co-host.
If you'd like to join our email list, visit our website at www.hyperfixation-investigations.com and fill out the subscribe form on the Contact Us page. We greatly appreciate those of you already subscribed to our Patreon and are looking forward to making some new merch and Discord content available in this new year of 2025.
For those of you who are curious about your lovely host's sun signs, I'm a Capricorn and Josh is a Gemini. Fitting that we do this episode during my sign's time of the year. And now with our water and little treats in hand, let's get back to our overview of Zodiac Astrology. Anywho, let's talk about modern astrology and its resurgence in popularity in the last century or so.
Cool.
We're going to start with what we've already touched on here and there, this idea of why your zodiac sign is probably wrong from an astronomical point of view. And this was written by an astronomer, so nobody yell at me. I'm going to read direct quotes from this because they say it very well.
Okay.
And there's enough science in here that
Sure.
I'm afraid I'm going to screw it up otherwise. So, for those who want a citation, this is from James Kaler, and it's an Astronomy magazine. Why your zodiac sign is probably wrong from someone who knows. Quote, the number of constellations in the Western Zodiac comes from the cycles of the moon, which orbits the Earth 12.4 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Roughly speaking, the sun appears against a different constellation every new moon, the stars forming a distant backdrop to the sun. Astrology suggests that each sign of the zodiac fits neatly into a 30-degree slice of sky, which, multiplied by 12, adds up to 360 degrees, or a full circle. In actuality, this is not the case, as the constellations vary a great deal in shape and size. For example, the sun passes through the constellation Scorpio in 5 days, but it takes 38 days to pass through Taurus. The main reason astrological signs fail to line up with the zodiac, though, is a wobble in the Earth's rotational axis called precession.
Yes.
As a result of its rotation, Earth bulges slightly at the equator. The gravity of the moon and the sun pull on the bulge, which causes the Earth to wobble like a top. The
Yes.
wobble causes the Earth's axis, which is the central line around which it rotates, to swing in a slow circle over the course of 25,800 years.
Yes.
This movement alters the view of the zodiac from Earth, making the constellations appear to slide to the east roughly 1 degree per human lifetime. Precession was discovered with the naked eye by Hipparchus of Nicaea around 150 BC. And again, this is no longer in the quote. This is where we were talking about the geocentricity versus heliocentricity.
Right.
This idea of precession and that the Earth rotates and orbits, those are things that would not have been thought about when we were in Ptolemy's time of the geocentric
Right.
situation. So the zodiacs would never have moved in the theory of during Ptolemy's time and when the zodiacs were being founded and their dates being decided and what have you.
Right. But then, of course, Copernicus trying to make the math make sense and go, but you need to account for so many additional constants and variables if you assume this model, but it works out so much more cleanly mathematically if you assume a heliocentric model, and then was able to kind of more or less show, more or less go from there. Anyhow.
So, just to finish up what this article mentioned, in ancient times, the vernal equinox, or the first day of spring, was in Aries, hence why it's the first zodiac sign we talked about. Due to precession, it moved into Pisces around 100 BC, which is where it is now, and where it will remain until AD 2700 is when it will move into Aquarius, so on and so forth, for 25,800 years until it makes its way back around to being the vernal equinox.
Sure. And it's, you said 25,000?
25,800 for the whole rotation. So if we're talking about the modern popularity and rise of astrology, there are 2 sources that I would suggest people read. One of them is far more attainable than the other, so take that into mind. One is by Christine Smallwood, Astrology in the Age of Uncertainty, which can be found in the New Yorker. It's a somewhat extensive article, but like a really good news article.
Okay.
And she interviews a lot of today's leading astrologers and astronomers and a whole thing. The other is a dissertation by Rachel Floyd, Understanding the Psychological Significance of Astrology in Millennial Women's Lives.
Okay.
We're only going to go over the abstract of that paper because it's 131 pages long.
Damn.
Props to them.
That is a dissertation.
Yeah.
Nice and meaty.
Yes. But we're kind of going to start with Christine Smallwood's New Yorker article because it does a really good job of, I think, explaining why we've seen this rise in the popularity of astrology. You see it on TikTok, you see memes, you see all kinds of stuff, right? There's a lot of, obviously, interacting parts, right, that have led to this resurgence of popularity. And there was a resurgence in the 1900s, and then it kind of went to the wayside again in like the 80s and 90s, and now it's back again. There's the idea that the advent of the personal computer with the internet, as well as social media, obviously, has been a huge part of it. According to a 2017 Pew Research Center poll, almost 30% of Americans believe in astrology. But as the scholar Nicholas Campion, the author of Astrology and Popular Religion in the Modern West, has argued, the number of people who know their sun sign, consult their horoscope, or read about the sign of their romantic partner is much higher.
Interesting.
So one of the other things they talk about is this idea that when the idea of psychology And psychoanalysis, id, ego, superego, was first kind of brought into the lexicon in the mid-century. A lot of people were like, oh, only crazy people are talking about that. Only woo-woo people are talking about that. And that same kind of feeling was also happening in the 70s and 80s with people who talked about their sun signs and their horoscopes and whatever.
Sure.
Like, oh, you know, you picture the stereotypical hippie Mother Earth mama
Right.
talking about their horoscopes. To this day, that's what a lot of people think about. But nowadays, it's becoming more and more ubiquitous. More and more people know, and more people who are talking about it, who are using it as a tool of self-reflection or whatever, are not those people. They're not just like awesome hippie women.
Right.
They're also people who believe that you can follow astrology and study it and use it as a tool and still believe in science, right? You know, people like me who I'm like, yes, I understand that it's annoying that the signs don't line up with their stars anymore. And I understand why. Precession makes sense to me. We were taught about that. I don't not believe in precession in order to believe in the zodiac.
It's just something additional as a piece of faith for you.
Yes.
More so than, and as a piece of like
self-reflection,
pseudopsychology.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things they said in this article was that the popularity of astrology is often explained as the result of the decline of organized religion and the rise of economic precariousness, and as one aspect of a larger turn to New Age modalities. Then there's the matter of political panic. In times of crisis, it is often said that people search for something to believe in. So one of the times that we see this happening was when the first newspaper astrology column was created, and that happened in August of 1930 in England. This was the aftermath of the stock market crash, aftermath of World War I,
Right.
and the British tabloid The Sunday Express and their in-house astrologer wrote a horoscope for Princess Margaret's birth. And it was entitled What the Stars Foretell for the New Princess. And it was so popular and such a good distraction that this was the start of weekly or daily horoscope columns in newspapers.
Okay, because of course everyone's got to cash in on what everyone's already excited about and gone, ooh, look at this cool thing.
Right. It had said that there would be a major occurrence around her 7th birthday, 1937. Anybody want to think about what happened in 1937? The rise of who and what in where?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can't remember if that was also around the time their uncle stepped down as king and their father took over. Can't remember when the exact date from that was. Somebody who's watched The Crown, remind me.
I do enjoy these kind of weird historical domino effects, though.
Right?
Wild.
So there's another good quote. The idea at the heart of astrology is that the pattern of a person's life or character or nature corresponds to the planetary pattern at the moment of their birth. And this is from historian Benson Bobrick, and he wrote this in his 2005 book, The Fated Sky. Such an idea is as old as the world is old, that all things bear the imprint of the moment they are born. So just a nice little poetic. This has actually been around for a very long time.
Right. It's not like it's wholesale a new concept.
Right.
Though it's got new interpretation and new layers to it because, of course, that's how it goes.
Exactly.
Everyone's always going to try to put it into their modern context, no matter when that is.
Yeah.
So, fair.
To me, it also, on a personal level, combines with the very poetic, somewhat, some might consider cliche, but I absolutely adore, idea that we're all made of stardust.
Oh, of course.
You know, it's like, well, if we're all made of that stuff, then who's to say the movement of that stuff out in space doesn't? And I am a firm believer that the idea of magic is just science that we have yet to know how to explain. And that, you know, manifestation or whatever, to me, that's like, okay, that's just like energy we don't get yet.
Which, again, is a very poetic, fun way to think about the stars.
Yes. So obviously psychology, as we've talked, is a big aspect of why astrology has become popular again. Carl Jung is a psychologist who spoke a lot about the symbolism and the inherent meanings behind the symbols in a birth chart. Which, you know, Carl Jung in general is just fascinating.
Very interesting psychologist.
Yeah. But that, you know, this idea of a birth chart could be used as a representation of the psyche and used to talk about things such as a person's purpose, potential, and self-actualization. I think many will tell you that it's hard to have a real connection with astrology if you haven't had your personal chart done.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just like, oh yeah, I'm just a Leo, and you never go deeper than that, yeah, it's not going to have any meaning to you. It requires work and analysis to really make it a tool that's worth using.
Sure.
And they continue on saying, the closest analogy for having a personal star chart created is the idea of therapy. But unlike therapy, where a client might spend months or even years uncovering the roots of a symptom, astrology promises to get to answers more quickly. And despite common misconceptions, an astrologer is not a fortune teller. In a chart reading, they don't predict the future. They describe the client to themselves.
That's fair.
Which is another aspect that's often misconstrued, is the idea that it's...
Right, because everyone takes...
This is the lotto numbers based on your star sign.
Right, because everyone loves to take it to the nth degree of prophecy.
Right.
Which, I mean, it's not like nobody's ever used it for that.
Right, but it's more like, here's how things are going and why you should maybe make a decision that leans in favor of this, or this is how you should think about this problem before you make a decision, not this is the decision you need to make immediately.
Right. Again, self-reflection.
For sure. Another aspect that's made it very popular, which I think this is true throughout history, is the power of description, right? We all love to categorize and identify ourselves by traits and characteristics and descriptors and what have you.
Everyone loves putting everybody else in little boxes.
Exactly.
Neat little boxes.
Exactly.
How many ways can you put somebody into a neat little box?
I've already done it in this episode.
Yes.
My friends who are indecisive, well, at least most of them are Libras. That makes sense, you know?
Uh-huh.
Important to note here, you are not supposed to use your astrological whatever, your star chart, your sun sign, what have you. You're not supposed to use it to like disregard your own bad behavior.
Though plenty of people will, because as long as they can point to anything to be an excuse to explain why they do the things they do.
If you're a Gemini who has mood swings and makes a relationship intolerable because you keep switching back and forth, that's a problem. You don't get to just say, well, I have mood swings because I'm a Gemini. Right.
It's like, no, hang on. This is actually something about yourself that you can and should address and get to, like, regardless of astrology. Hey, bud, maybe take a look in the mirror. Maybe go get therapy.
Right. And obviously, as social media has exploded, as this has become a more and more popular thing in mainstream conversation and culture, it's become a capitalistic breeding ground as well.
Of course. Because if you can profit off of it, why wouldn't you?
Of course. Venture capitalists, cited by a report from IBIS World, found that Americans spend $2.2 billion annually on mystical services, which includes palmistry, tarot reading, etc., and therefore are funneling money into that area. CoStar, which is an astrology app, is backed by $6 million. Since its launch in 2017, it's been downloaded 6 million times. 80% of users are female, and their average age is 24. And we're going to talk about stuff like that a little bit later.
Okay.
You're also not supposed to use astrology to, like, avoid self-determination.
Using this tool of self-reflection to avoid reflection?
Right, exactly. You're not supposed to be like,
Weird.
oh, well, because I was born when my Chiron was in blank, I'm never going to amount to anything. No. There's an important quote in here. It's easy to name our own opaque and inscrutable systems. Surveillance, capitalism, a Byzantine health insurance system. But to say that we are no longer the self-determining subjects of our fate is also to recognize the many ways that our lives are governed by circumstances outside our control. We know that our genetic codes predispose us to certain diseases, and that the income bracket we're born into can determine our future. Fate is another word for circumstance. This was an interesting little tidbit. Samuel Reynolds, who began researching astrology in the 1980s in order to disprove it, is now on the board of the International Society for Astrological Research.
Oh, it's that funny.
He said, quote, to talk about the planets literally having some measure of effect on you brings up all kinds of questions that I don't think astrology is prepared to answer. He said, instead, astrology is symbolic and spiritual, a literary language whose truth can neither be validated nor invalidated by empirical science.
Again, faith-based system and any faith-based system is inherently unscientific, which, again, I think I've said this in the past. I don't remember if it made it into those episodes.
Yeah.
But when I say something is unscientific because it's faith-based, I'm not in any way making a moral or judgment call about it as a system, but rather just it's not something science is equipped to discuss because science is inherently meant to analyze things empirically and looking for repeatability and experiments that can be controlled for, and anything that's faith-based innately because it's faith-based,
can't
you're
do that.
going to avoid, you can't make double-blind faith-based study
Right.
that controls for variables without inevitably going, oh, but it's because of XYZ additional factor that we could never take into consideration. Well, if we can't take it into consideration, then we can't treat it as a scientific, like, empirical study.
Right.
It gets too much into the vagaries and hypotheticals. It lacks falsifiability. It's not something you could easily disprove. To be a scientific endeavor or inquiry, something needs to be able to be found to be false through investigation, analysis, study.
Yeah.
Anywho.
And for some people, the complexity of this system, all of the layers that I did not get into when we're talking about birth charts, as well as other forms of astrology, so Vedic astrology, Chinese astrology, whatever.
Sure.
The complexity of the system itself is a source of pleasure, right? People like the math, the rules, the definitions and interpretations, the vocabulary. For others, it's something to play with, right? They have a good example. In one context, Uranus indicates sudden death. In other, revolutionary energy. Right? It's
nice.
An amazing tool for self-reflection and storytelling.
Right.
And one little tidbit, this was the one that when we were upstairs researching, I kept from you.
Okay.
Because I thought you would appreciate it. So
Thank you.
We're going to do a live reveal here.
Whoa.
Whoa. Astrology has also been used to intentionally mislead political enemies. In 1942 and 1943, the Allies distributed a fake astrology magazine called Der Zenit, which, among other things, endeavored to disguise the Allied ambush of German U-boat operations. Because for those of you who don't know, Hitler and his top people were like full-on pagans with witch rituals in a castle in the middle of Poland.
Oh, yes.
So,
oh, yes. Well, also,
astrology was like a thing.
Right. Well, also legitimately like hunting for the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail and all that. Like Indiana Jones, like constantly fighting Nazis in his movies is not just because it's like an appropriate time period. It's also because the Nazis were literally searching for
the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah.
Holy Christian artifacts for religious reasons.
Yeah.
So that's always very funny to me.
So we used astrology to help us win the war.
You're
welcome. Hey, goes along with a long history of it being used in interesting ways.
That's fair. I mean, hey, anytime you can leverage misinformation and disinformation of any kind, same thing with the carrots are good for your eyes. Right? Also, again, Allied propaganda to confuse the Germans.
Yep.
And prevent them from learning that the British had developed better radar technology.
Yep.
The British used that to lie to the rest of the Allies as well for years. Like, oh yeah, no, we're just eating a lot of carrots, guys. That's why we've suddenly gotten so good at shooting down the German planes.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Definitely has nothing to do with
Radar.
our upgraded radar tech
and our anti-aircraft guns.
Right.
That we have at the mouth of the Thames. Anyway, I'd like to just briefly move into that dissertation that we had talked about.
Right.
Because it gets into one of, I think, the important things that you and I will probably discuss, which is the idea that in modern time, astrology has long been associated with women and with queer people.
Yes.
And this dissertation is specifically about, as its title denotes, significance of astrology in millennial women's lives. Existing psychological literature on astrology is primarily dominated by correlational studies or historical analysis and lacks the depth and richness of direct experiences of individuals engaging with this phenomenon. This study sought to address this gap within psychological literature specifically by conducting qualitative interviews with millennial women to uncover the meanings and functions of astrology in their lives. All participants expressed a defensive positioning regarding astrology that justified a complex reason for its use. Second, a theme of astrology being psychologically beneficial emerged in that the use of astrology levies an intrapersonal, highly individualized sense of self-cohesion.
Fair enough.
Third, my participants expressed how astrology brings an interpersonal community or shared identity that is conducive to compassion and connection. Lastly, participants shared that astrology provides guidance and reassurance if not used in excess. This research contributes to the understanding of astrology's appeal among millennial women by providing a nuanced qualitative exploration of their experiences and perspectives. The identified themes shed light on the significance of astrology in the lives of those representative of the demographic that uses it most, offering valuable insights for both scholars and practitioners. The findings underscore the need to consider the diverse functions astrology serves in contemporary society, transcending mere belief or skepticism and emphasizing its role as a multifaceted tool that supports personal growth, emotional well-being, and compassionate connection. And just briefly from our final source, which was a radio episode from New Hampshire Public Radio called Why is Astrology So Popular Right Now?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I just briefly want to touch on is this idea of it has also largely become a part of the vocabulary of the queer community.
Right.
Especially like millennial, Gen Z queer communities.
Yeah.
A lot of us know at least our big three, if not more.
Right.
And use that in conversation and in meeting people and whatever. A researcher of astrology, Campion, explained that there might be a reason that astrology provides a sympathetic framework towards queerness or marginalized identities. Quote, you may be biologically male or biologically female, but in your birth chart, the planets are gendered. The moon and Venus are female, Mars and Saturn are male, and so on. There's always been an understanding in astrology, going back to earliest times, that there is an internal feminine and an internal masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Unquote. Obviously, not all queer people do this. But another thought about why it may be appealing to the queer community is that it's an alternative for seeking inclusive systems of meaning, particularly if traditional sources of spirituality or religion rejected a part of your identity.
Right, which has been pretty common for a lot of mainstream organized religions.
Right. And Chani Nichols, who created the Chani app and is a queer, female-identified astrologer, put it this way, quote, maybe it's because we need to know that no matter the rejection we face here on Earth, there's a place for us among the stars.
That's cute.
Right?
That's very poetic.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's kind of all of it on the modern discourse, right? Of how it's come back around with the horoscope of Princess Margaret in a newspaper. And why it's found not just a popularity in the general younger communities,
right,
but specifically in female-identified and marginalized and queer communities. Some of the things that I thought we might briefly touch on, outside of whatever questions you might have,
right,
is the idea of the negative connotations of astrology. For example, the male-identifying people who complain when potential romantic partners ask for their birth date, time or place,
right,
or whether or not they know their big three. You see those TikTok videos all the time.
Oh, yeah. Because a lot of guys like to just harp on it.
Right.
For really no reason other than devaluing anything that they perceive as feminine.
Right.
Which is wild to me, just because, I'm sorry, are you, again, especially among majority, like, straight white men.
Yes.
Guys, why are you so upset about and rejecting an important part of the life and personality of somebody that you are potentially romantically interested in?
Misogyny.
Right.
And the patriarchy.
Right. In my mind, that goes hand in hand with the misogynistic tendency of not viewing your partner as a person, but as an object to fulfill some need or desire of yours, which is so frustrating.
Well, and God knows those same people are often very bad at taking rejection. So, like, if they were to even give that information to the partner, and the partner went, oh, well, I really don't think our charts are compatible.
Right.
Could you imagine? Oh my God, it would not go well. And it kind of feeds into this idea, too, that even though a lot of people in our generation and younger and a little bit older do kind of either accept astrology or accept that it is a part of our cultural mainstream, whether or not you actually believe in it or not.
Right.
You and I can have fun conversations about it, even though we're on opposite ends of the belief scale with it.
Right.
And we laugh at it and whatever. Like this idea that in older generations and in like heteronormative, I don't want to over stereotype, but
no, because overgeneralizations in general are.
right. But largely in my personal experience, heteronormative people still view astrology and the culture connected to it now as like fake or naive or laughable or unintellectual or what have you. And it's just like, no, there's actually like, this is older than most world religions.
Right.
Regardless of if you view it as a psychology tool or a faith practice, whatever. You know, like one of the things Josh got me for Christmas, what was it, last year or the year before? Or my birthday? I don't remember. He got me a Zodiac tarot card set.
Yes.
Which is like perfect.
Might have been last year.
And so, you know, it's my tarot cards, but it also has how each tarot card would connect to the Zodiac. And for someone like me, that's a really cool crossover of two of the tools that I use both as a self-realization and self-understanding, but also as faith. Like it's both and not always at the same time.
I think there's also potentially a high probability that at least some of the people that are like problematically dismissive of any of these things are either coming at it from the perspective of, well, only my faith is correct and anything else that is faith of anybody else is wrong and bad and should be treated as such. And the people who see it and go, oh, a thing of faith must inherently be bad because it is of faith, which like both of those are
too extreme
for their own reasons.
It's not hurting you.
Right.
Why do you care?
Like, again, anytime somebody uses any piece of their faith to justify being a dick,
right,
that's bad.
That's wrong.
But that's on them.
Right.
That's not faith as a system being, or faith like in and of itself being a bad thing.
Correct.
That's that person having a problem and using that.
Right.
That speaks more to the person.
Yeah. One of the other things that kind of connects to this, but I think is also its own separate thing, is the idea of the meme culture that has now surrounds Zodiacs.
Yeah. Well, you know, Mercury's in Gatorade, so I don't know.
Right. Things like, I wouldn't quite call this meme culture, but like I've seen some really cool videos that people do on Instagram of they'll make costumes or makeup designs for each Zodiac based on the colors or the elements or the symbols, what the constellations themselves look like, etc., which is cool. Then you also get funny memes, which are funny. And even as somebody who practices astrology and finds value and meaning in it, I find a lot of the memes hilarious.
Right.
Some of them go too far, but that's freedom of speech. Everybody can do what they want.
Right. Which, again, a lot of that in my mind boils down to just don't use like your faith as a justification to be a dick.
Right.
And that goes both ways in terms of just because somebody believes something doesn't mean that you get to be a dick to them.
Right.
Because of it.
Yeah. I will say, this is one of my soapbox moments.
And
I don't know if it's just because, like, if it's my neurodivergence, I don't know if it's my rising sign as a Cancer. I don't know if it's just whatever. But in a lot of the memes and a lot of the videos that are based on the stereotypes of your sun sign.
Sure.
So, like the idea that Libras are always incapable of making decisions, that Leos are always wanting to be the center of attention, whatever, things like that.
Geminis are always two-faced.
Right.
You're right.
Scorpios are always goth. Things like that.
Wait. That's a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Okay.
Personally, the Capricorn is almost always represented as like the most boring sign with the least amount of emotion and always like caring about work and money only. Like that's always what the stereotype representations are.
Yeah, I can see that's frustrating.
And I'm like, I am one hell of a grounded earth sign. I am a hell of a stereotypical Capricorn in a lot of ways. I am career oriented, but that's more just like because I have ambition and that needs to be outletted somewhere.
Right.
But this idea that we're like boring, dull, we're like the accountant who just sits and does work for 14 hours a day and has like no emotional EQ or whatever pisses me off. It's like one of my soapboxes.
That's fair. And I mean, I'd probably just relate that back to the overgeneralization.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. because
But anyway, I had to talk
that's
about
always
my I
frustrating.
had to talk about my soapbox.
You?
Me?
No.
Me?
You never break out the soapbox for stump
No.
speeches. Never.
No. And one of the things that we've touched on throughout this whole thing is pseudopsychology versus psychology versus sociology versus spiritualism. Those who use astrology outside of religious or spiritual systems and those that do use them within. This whole idea of like, it is both a faith tool and a psychological tool, I think.
Right.
It's poetic in a lot of ways. And I would challenge everybody to go get your personal star chart. Do it on like astrocafe.com or whatever, I think does free ones.
Astrology Cafe.
Yeah,
I think.
something like that.
Yeah.
Go do Chani if you want an app version for a few day free trial, whatever. Just go read it. It's entertaining.
Right. For those of you more like me who are like, I don't know, man, I don't really have like much stock in that faith-wise.
Yeah.
I do think it's a fun and useful tool psychologically speaking.
Yeah.
If nothing else, to use for the sake of self-reflection, because you can always look at yourself and go, oh, well, that doesn't match with me at all. Okay. What do you feel is more accurate?
Yeah.
Or if you think it does line up, why do you think it does? And if you think it doesn't, why do you think it doesn't?
Right.
That kind of thing. That, if nothing else, it can give good little niche examples for you to analyze and compare with your life and think about, why am I the way that I am? And how does that compare to what this claims it thinks I am?
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found really interesting in, so for a lot of years, I was raised Unitarian. There's a point to this, I promise. I was raised Unitarian, Universalist, in like the most hippie, liberal, all-accepting version of Unitarian Universalism that exists.
Sure.
And then when I was in like high school, I was like, I'm an atheist. Religion is not a thing. And then I was like in college, I started off at a Catholic university. So I got to the point of being agnostic in college because you can't be surrounded by that much talk about faith and religion and all that and not go, well, maybe there's something to this, but I don't care.
Sure.
Fast forward to probably COVID, right? And all of a sudden I'm having all kinds of weird spiritual stuff. And so is my mom. And so are a couple of my cousins. And we're all like, okay, so some spiritual awakening shit is happening here. We all end up in this like more spiritual state than we had been in before.
Right.
That was the first time I had gone through my birth chart in totality outside of just like what's funny about learning about your sun sign or whatever. And I was like, some of this really doesn't fit. I like my Cancer ascendant makes no sense to me at that point in my life,
Right.
I was like, there was a bunch of other things that I was like, this is not me at all. And or I could see snippets of it from my childhood, but like not who I was at the point that I was reading them.
Sure.
And then I started going through my unmasking process with my autism and my ADHD.
Yes.
And all of a sudden I was like, okay, those things are starting to make a little bit more sense. Those things that weren't me at all, I'm going like, and I only read my like full hardcore, everything in its houses, birth chart interpretation. I only read that like once a year because
because Chani writes a lot.
She writes a lot. And I do think if you read it too much, you can get too caught up in it.
Right. Which I will say.
And it's not as useful as a self-reflection tool at that point.
Right. Which is definitely a criticism that makes a lot of sense for people who tend to
like
get
daily horoscopes that are super specific are probably not as helpful as like daily I read my daily horoscope, but Chani's is more like, hey, if you're feeling like disconnected from your friends today, there might be a planetary reason why, and that's okay. And you can talk to them tomorrow or whatever. It's far more broad than like, on this day, you will not speak to your brother because he was I don't know, like weird stuff.
Or like, if you are a Libra, today is a great day to invest in stocks.
Right.
Like, what?
So for me, in my personal experience with astrology, it's tied into my, what I would call like neo-pagan spirituality and faith practice. But it's also like been a hugely helpful tool, kind of almost like a mirror for me of learning how to unmask and like what parts of myself to look at. And as I have unmasked, and again, I only go back about once a year to read it. So I'm not like reading it and then unmasking specifically to fit what was in my thing. I'm not doing like a cause and effect. It's more like I go through a whole year-long process of whatever I'm working on with myself, and then I go read my chart again and I go, oh, this thing that I used to, like I said, this thing that I used to think was not me, like my Cancer rising sign has always been top of the list. Actually, I do have really deep emotions and I cry a lot. But you wouldn't know it because the Capricorn is still strong and stuff like that.
I think a lot of that comes back to like intended use and what is overemphasizing parts of things to justify one's personality rather than using it as a self-reflection tool.
Yeah.
Because, like you said earlier with determinism, not using it to, or like predetermine and decide this is how this says I should be, so this is how I will be. Yeah. No, hang on, maybe take a step back and actually compare it to yourself and like just sit and think in that and allow yourself to analyze and go over it rather than trying to fit that mold.
Talk about it with a therapist.
Yeah.
If your therapist is open-minded enough to talk about things through that lens.
Right.
I was lucky for a lot of my unmasking journey. I did have a therapist who was willing to go into my spirituality and go into things like tarot and astrology as a form of learning myself and talking about psychological health and things like that.
Right.
All right. So did you have any questions outside of the houses and the fact that the things don't align anymore?
I think... let me double check. I think we basically got to most of the stuff that I was going to ask. Yeah. I don't think I have anything really big to get into.
Cool.
I suppose if we have nothing else?
No.
Okay. That's a wrap on episode 9, Zodiac Astrology. If you'd like to delve further into this topic, our research sources and related images are posted on our website, hyperfixation-investigations.com. Again, that is hyperfixation-investigations.com. Thanks so much for listening.
Follow us on social media for updates, and check out our Patreon to support us directly, join our Discord community, and receive other special perks.
See you next week. And remember, what's a little info dumping between friends?